Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we take stacks of sources, extract the absolute core of actionable knowledge, and deliver it right to you.
Yeah, and today we are really getting into something substantial. We're looking at a philosophy built from analyzing, well, over 500 really successful Americans, titans of industry, you could say.
Absolutely. And the sources themselves, they call it a textbook on individual achievement. That's a pretty bold claim.
It is. And our mission really is to unpack that, to try and find these operating instructions, the core principles, maybe that secret they talk about behind massive success.
Something that helps you organize and apply knowledge, right? Not just collect it.
Exactly, because the sources say this formula helps you convert what you already know into, well, real results, compensation, service, without all the usual trial and error.
And the scale of this, I mean, 500 people analyzed, that's what makes it feel so solid. You've got Dr. Miller Reese Hutchison, who worked with Edison.
Right. Edison's associate, he was insistent, wasn't he? He said this stuff should be studied, digested, and meditated upon.
He really saw it as the missing piece, how to actually use the knowledge you have. Most people just collect facts.
Yeah, they acquire knowledge, but then don't direct it anywhere useful.
And the nature of this secret, it's kind of intriguing. They say it can't just be bought or given away.
That's what they stress, which is maybe why it's not just common knowledge. You know, it apparently comes in two parts.
Two parts, okay.
And here's the encouraging bit for you, the listener. One part of this secret, you supposedly already have it if you're really ready for the rest.
Already have it. That shifts things, doesn't it? It's not just hunting for some hidden clue.
It's about personal readiness. Are you ready to receive it?
And Andrew Carnegie comes into this. He mentored the author, right? And he felt typical schooling. Oh, it wasn't that helpful for making fortunes.
Not for accumulating riches, no. He had his own specialized formula. And he apparently coached quite a few people, many without much formal education.
Who then became leaders and made huge amounts of money.
Exactly. Which brings us to the big example, the kind of proof of concept.
United States Steel Corporation.
That's the one. The sources claim Charles M. Schwab used these principles just once. One application.
An idea backed by faith and a plan.
And it generated this massive fortune for him, both in actual money and, importantly, opportunity.
We need to stress how massive. The estimate is what, around $600 million?
Roughly, yeah. In money and opportunity combined. And the key point is, this wasn't just about investing capital.
No, it was value created from an idea, from these intangible principles organized effectively.
Which leads to this really powerful claim they make, that once you get this and use it properly,
you get literally swept onto success.
yeah, with but little effort, and you never again submit to failure. It sounds almost magical.
It does suggest something fundamental changes, right? Like the physics of your own mind shifts.
A fundamental shift. That's a good way to put it.
Okay, so let's unpack that shift. If we're looking for the foundation, where does something like a $600 million idea actually begin?
Well, it's not with the money or the education or even the detailed plan, surprisingly.
No. Where then?
It starts with desire.
Desire, okay. But that sounds simple, like just wanting something. If it were that easy.
Everyone would be rich, right? Well, yeah. But it's not simple wishing. It's not hope.
So what is it?
It has to be a definite burning desire. A desire to be something, to do something specific. Mere hope. The sources say that's useless here.
So a burning desire, that's the fuel. It has to be intense.
White-hot intensity. The kind that forces you to commit completely. Because the philosophy says you're not ready for anything until you truly believe you can get it. That belief comes from the burning desire.
Okay, let's make that concrete. The story of Edwin C. Barnes and Thomas Edison, that really illustrates this burning desire, doesn't it? It really does. I mean, think about how Barnes showed up. Orange, New Jersey. Edison's office.
Yeah, the description is pretty stark, not exactly polished.
Not at all. Looked like an ordinary tramp, the text says. He didn't even have money for the train fare.
He rode a freight train. Blind baggage, they called it. Exactly. Think about that level of commitment right there. Poverty, discomfort, those things just didn't matter compared to his goal. It's like he'd already burned his bridges behind him. No retreat.
But it wasn't just raw determination, was it? It was the focus, the definiteness of what he wanted.
That's absolutely crucial. He didn't just ask for a job. Any job.
No, he wanted to work with Edison, become his associate. He had this very specific identity in his own mind.
And Edison saw that, didn't he? He was a sharp judge of character.
Apparently so. He said later that Barnes just gave off this vibe, this determination, determined to get what he had come after.
Edison recognized he was willing to risk everything, his whole future on this one goal. And Edison valued the kid's thoughts, his internal state, way more than his appearance or his empty pockets.
But the partnership didn't happen overnight. It took 5 years.
5 years. And during that time, Barnes took a menial job, something unimportant to Edison.
But crucial for Barnes, right. It kept him close, physically close, and mentally focused. He called it showing his merchandise.
Yeah, putting himself in the window, so to speak. But imagine the mental strength needed for those 5 years.
Seriously, 5 years of low-level work.
With not one ray of hope, not one promise that he'd ever get what he came for. Nothing from Edison.
So what kept him going?
It had to be that internal state. Mental prepossession, you could call it. In his own mind, he was Edison's partner already. Every single day for 5 years.
That's the burning desire in action. Total commitment. Refusing to compromise.
He fixed on that goal, obsessed over it, and just persisted until reality basically had to catch up with his internal state.
Wow. That kind of mental tenacity. That's what turns desire into reality. The sources also give a really personal story about this, don't they? About overcoming a huge obstacle.
Yeah, a very touching one. It's about the author's own son, Blair, born without normal hearing.
Which objectively seems like a massive disadvantage. Logic would say there's no real upside there.
Right. Reason says it's just a limitation. But this philosophy insists that desire, backed by faith, has to push reason aside sometimes. It demands you look for the equivalent advantage hidden in every setback.
So how did the author apply this with his son?
It was quite systematic, actually, using autosuggestion. Bedtime stories.
Bedtime stories.
He deliberately planted the definite desire to hear and speak in Blair's mind. Mix it with faith. And here's the really surprising part.
What's that?
He intentionally sold Blair on the idea that his deafness wasn't a liability at all. It was an asset of great value.
An asset? How could deafness be an asset? Even the father admitted he didn't know how.
He didn't need to know how initially. The philosophy just says that every adversity carries the seed of an equivalent advantage. By instilling that belief, that premise, in Blair from childhood.
Blair grew up expecting things.
Expecting special attention, expecting advantages, and apparently he got them. His mother worked with teachers, reinforced the idea he never saw himself as handicapped.
Until the physical change happened. He found a hearing device.
Yes. And the moment he heard clearly for the first time, the description is powerful. Intoxicated with the joy of sound.
And that intense emotion
Yeah.
that sparked the idea, the hunch.
Exactly. That rush of feeling, combined with focused thought, led to the realization he could help other deafened people, millions of them, by sharing his story, his experience.
And he acted on it immediately.
Right away. Intensive research, a 2-year plan, and he got hired instantly. High salary, responsible position.
So his handicap was literally turned into his career, his asset.
Fully converted. Generating value for himself and thousands of others.
Yeah.
It's presented as proof that this burning desire, when you mix it with faith, finds these unexpected ways to become real.
Okay, so desire is the start, but it needs that faith component. How do you engineer faith? That seems like the tricky part.
It does. And that brings us right to the next principle, the mechanism of faith and autosuggestion.
Autosuggestion, self-suggestion.
Exactly. Faith in this system isn't some vague spiritual thing you hope for. It's defined as a state of mind you can actually induce, create intentionally.
And autosuggestion is the tool for that.
It's the only tool for that, according to the sources. It's how you communicate with your subconscious mind.
And the subconscious has its own language, right? It doesn't just respond to plain words.
Definitely not. Plain, unemotional thoughts or words.
Yeah.
They just don't register. They have no power.
So what does work?
Thoughts need to be mixed with emotion, feeling, belief. That emotion acts like the catalyst. It turns a passive thought, I want money, into an active driving impulse that the subconscious understands and acts upon.
Like feeling that you already have the money, that certainty.
That's it, the feeling of certainty, the belief. That's what makes the difference.
The analogy they use about becoming a criminal, that's pretty stark.
It is, but it illustrates the principle. Surround yourself constantly with negative influences, criminal thoughts. Eventually you internalize them through association. You become what you associate with.
So if that works for destructive patterns,
Then the same mechanism must work for constructive ones. You build faith by deliberately, repeatedly telling your subconscious mind that you already have faith. You feed it positive, definite emotions.
and your mind eventually takes on the character of those dominant influences.
Exactly. You shape your subconscious environment intentionally.
Now, this is where the philosophy gets a bit cosmic. They talk about the ether,
Yeah, the language is from that era, early 20th century physics.
Mm.
We need to translate it a bit.
So the ether, what's the core idea for us today?
The core idea is that the universe is fundamentally energy, a vast field of adaptive energy. And the claim is this energy responds to our thoughts.
Response how?
It adapts itself to the nature of the thoughts we hold most strongly. Our brains become kind of magnetized by our dominant thoughts, the ones full of emotion.
And this magnetized brain then attracts similar vibrations from this energy field.
That's the model they propose. It attracts harmonious vibrations, thoughts of a similar nature.
Okay, and the crucial point here is this magnet doesn't care if the thoughts are good or bad.
Exactly. It's impartial. It works just as effectively for destructive thoughts like fear of poverty as it does for constructive thoughts like achieving wealth.
So if you're constantly dwelling on lack, on fear,
Your brain becomes magnetized with lack and fear. And the universe, or this energy field, starts delivering circumstances that match that vibration. It reinforces the fear, a feedback loop.
which is why controlling your dominant thoughts is so critical. So how do you consciously use this power for good? How do you induce faith practically?
There's a very specific method laid out, 6 steps. The absolute key is ritualized repetition.
Okay, what does that involve?
You have to write down a clear statement of your major goal, your definite chief aim, what you want, how you'll get it, the timeline.
Write it down.
Memorize it, and then repeat it aloud, twice a day.
Aloud? Why aloud?
The audible words, the vibrations, combined with the feeling, the emotion.
Wow.
That's what impresses it onto the subconscious mind. Just before sleep and just after waking are the recommended times.
And there's a visualization piece too, right? A very intense one.
Yes, concentration is vital. When you're repeating your statement, you visualize the goal as already achieved. If it's money, you close your eyes and hold that thought until you can literally see the money.
See it physically.
In your mind's eye, yes. See yourself holding it. Feel the emotion of already possessing it. You act as if.
And the expectation is that this process, this sustained emotional visualization, will prompt your subconscious mind to deliver the actual plans, the how-to, often as a flash of inspiration, a hunch, what they call the sixth sense kicking in.
Okay, that's a powerful sequence. Desire, fueled by faith, built through autosuggestion and visualization, leading to inspired plans. But even the best idea needs, well, substance, knowledge.
Right. Which brings us neatly to the next principle, specialized knowledge. And the sources make a really sharp distinction here, don't they, between just knowing stuff and knowing useful stuff.
A huge distinction. General knowledge, the kind academics often have in vast amounts, is described as pretty much useless for accumulating wealth. Unless it's organized and directed intelligently. Through practical plans of action. Knowledge sitting passively in your head, it's only potential power, not actual power.
That feels incredibly relevant today. We're drowning in general information, right? But wealth seems to flow to those who know how to apply specific knowledge.
Exactly. The source argues that a major failure of traditional schooling is that it teaches you how to acquire knowledge, but not how to organize it or use it effectively in the real world.
And here's a key point. If you need highly specialized knowledge to build a fortune, you don't necessarily have to possess it all yourself.
That's a liberating idea, isn't it? You don't need to be the expert in everything.
Which leads us straight to that famous Henry Ford story, the libel suit.
Ah, yes. Classic example. He's on the stand, getting grilled with trivia questions, general knowledge stuff.
Like, who was Benedict Arnold? Details about the American Revolution. Things he maybe didn't know offhand.
And his response was just brilliant. He basically said, why should I clutter my brain with that?
He said he had a row of electric push buttons on his desk, right?
Exactly. And if he needed an answer, he could push a button and summon someone who did know. Instantly.
That perfectly illustrates the point. Building big things requires specialized knowledge, but the real genius is in organizing and directing the people who have that knowledge.
The team. The alliance. Which is the heart of the mastermind principle.
So the real power is in creating and leading that mastermind group. How do you do that effectively? The sources give steps, right?
4 very clear, structured steps for building this essential alliance. First, you identify and ally yourself with the specific people whose knowledge and skills you need for your plan. They fill your gaps.
Okay, find the right people. Step 2. This seems important, but maybe overlooked.
Definitely overlooked. Step 2 is deciding clearly what's in it for them. What advantages, what compensation, tangible or intangible, will they receive for their cooperation?
Because smart people won't work for long without fair compensation or benefit. It has to be a win-win.
It's a structured partnership, not just asking for favors. It needs mutual benefit.
Step 3 is about the process, keeping it moving.
Right. You need to meet regularly, at least twice a week, maybe more, especially at the start, until the plans are absolutely perfected. It's about constant refinement, using that collective brain power.
Okay, regular meetings, clear goals. But the 4th step, this sounds like the secret sauce, and maybe the hardest part.
It probably is. Step 4 is the absolute need to maintain perfect harmony within the group.
Perfect harmony, why is that so critical?
Because the mastermind principle relies on the combined energy, the synergy, of minds working together in a spirit of cooperation. Any discord, any friction, just shatters that positive, focused energy.
So disagreements have to be handled quickly, constructively.
Immediately and definitely. Everyone has to be genuinely aligned and pulling in the same direction. Without that harmony, the whole thing falls apart. The principle just won't work.
Which brings us back to that ultimate example of this organized power in action, U.S. Steel. That dinner party.
December 12th, 1900. University Club. You've got J.P. Morgan, Schwab, other big financial players. Morgan wasn't even planning to stay long.
But then Charles Schwab gets up and speaks for 90 minutes.
90 minutes. And he wasn't just pitching a merger. He laid out this comprehensive vision, a clear-cut program for the aggrandizement of steel.
Aggrandizement, so making steel bigger, better, more dominant.
Exactly. He talked about massive efficiency gains, specialization, getting rid of failing parts of the business, dominating foreign markets through unified action. It was the whole package, an intangible idea, but delivered with total conviction, total faith.
And Morgan, the guy who basically controlled American finance, he was convinced.
Swept off his feet is the phrase used. The idea was just that compelling, that well-organized. Schwab then negotiated the sale of Carnegie Steel Company for, what, around $400 million?
Yeah, and Morgan later told Carnegie he could have gotten even more, like $100 million more.
Shows how powerful that initial presentation, that idea backed by faith was.
But the real kicker is the $600 million idea part. How did Schwab's vision create that much extra value?
That's the core lesson. The consolidation itself, plus Schwab's plan for organized, efficient management, increased the appraised value of all those combined steel properties by an estimated $600 million, almost instantly.
Just through better organization and direction, based on an idea.
Exactly. The sources use this as the ultimate proof. The real assets weren't just the factories and the machines. They were the intangible things. The faith, the burning desire, the imagination, the organization.
That's why they say you can think and grow rich. The value came from the thought, properly applied.
Precisely. But thinking it and planning it isn't enough, is it? You need that relentless follow-through, the part where most people stumble.
Which leads us to persistence, the engine that keeps everything moving.
Persistence. It's described as the sustained effort needed to actually generate the faith required. You can't substitute anything else for it. It's the bridge between the desire and the result.
And temporary setbacks. They're just part of the process.
They're framed as tests, ways to see if your desire is truly burning. Temporary defeat is not failure unless you accept it as failure.
The examples they give are powerful. Fannie Hurst, the writer.
36 rejection slips. Imagine getting told no 36 times for your stories.
Most people would quit after 3 or 4, probably. Assume they just don't have talent.
But she didn't. She persisted for 4 years, apparently. Just kept going, refusing to accept defeat. And when she finally broke through...
It wasn't just a small success. It was huge. $100,000 for movie rights for one novel.
Explosive success. Because the persistence built the momentum and the skill.
And Kate Smith, the singer, similar story.
Sang for free, basically, anywhere she could get near a microphone. For years. Yeah. Without payment, just driven by her desire and belief.
Until the industry couldn't ignore her anymore. They had to ask her what her price was.
And her subsequent earnings were astronomical. It shows that persistence forces recognition eventually.
So persistence isn't just stubbornness, it's a state of mind, something you cultivate.
Exactly. It's the mental quality that lets you look past temporary defeat. The sources even mention this idea of a hidden guide, like the universe testing you.
Testing your commitment.
Yeah, seeing if your desire is real, if it's burning hot enough. Only the ones who keep going, despite the discouragement, actually arrive.
And that kind of persistence, that kind of achievement, seems to thrive under a certain kind of leadership, right? Not the old command and control style.
Definitely not. The sources draw a sharp line here. Leadership by force, Think Napoleon. Military dictators. It's temporary. It breeds resentment. It always fails eventually.
So what's the enduring kind?
Leadership by consent. It has to be based on cooperation, on a fair deal for everyone
A
involved.
partnership model.
Yes. Employer, employee, and even the public, the customer. Everyone needs to benefit. It requires an equitable division of the profits and the recognition.
So for listeners who want to be that kind of leader, the sources list key factors. What stands out?
There are 11, but some are really crucial. A keen sense of justice, fairness is non-negotiable. And again, definiteness of decision and definiteness of plans. Leaders have to be clear, decisive.
And interestingly, a major cause of leadership failure is listed as lack of imagination.
Yes. Leaders who can't think creatively, who can't come up with new plans to meet challenges or emergencies, they're doomed. Imagination is essential for navigating change.
And this ties into the contribution expected from everyone, leader or employee, the QQS formula.
Quality, quantity, and spirit. The spirit of cooperation.
That third one, spirit, seems really important to this philosophy.
Hugely important. Andrew Carnegie himself put immense value on it. He apparently wouldn't keep anyone, no matter how good their work, quality, quantity, if they couldn't work in harmony with the team.
Harmony again. It keeps coming up, that mastermind spirit.
It's foundational. Carnegie knew that discord destroyed efficiency and morale. That focus on harmony is why so many of the people who worked with him became incredibly wealthy themselves. It was a truly cooperative environment.
Okay, so you need QQS, quality, quantity, spirit. How do you effectively market that, especially when you're starting out? The sources challenge the usual advice here.
They really do. They argue strongly against the whole start at the bottom and work your way up idea.
Why? That sounds like traditional wisdom. Pay your dues.
They say it's terrible advice because starting at the bottom often kills your ambition. It traps you in routine, limits your view. You get used to mediocrity.
So what's the alternative?
Aim higher from the beginning. Start 1 or 2 steps above the bottom. Why? Because it encourages you to look around, see opportunities, think bigger, develop leadership habits sooner.
And the way to do that is through smart planning when you offer your services, like that incredible story about the mother creating a plan for her son.
Oh, the personal service sales plan. That's a masterclass in applying these principles to getting a job.
What did she do exactly? Her son just finished college, didn't know his value?
Right, so she didn't just write a resume. She spent weeks creating this detailed, almost theatrical presentation, like 50 pages.
50 pages for a job application.
Yeah, but it wasn't just listing his qualifications. It detailed his abilities, his education, sure. But the core of it was a complete illustrated plan for what he would do in the junior executive role he wanted. Specific suggestions for the employer.
Wow. So instead of saying, hire me, I'm qualified, he was saying, here's a solution I've already designed for your company and I'm the one to execute it.
Exactly that. It completely flipped the script. He wasn't asking for a job. He was offering a prepackaged solution demonstrating initiative, imagination, and definite plans right from the start.
And the result?
He got the job, first interview, at the salary he wanted. Started immediately as a junior executive.
And the author estimates this approach saved him. How much time?
Clipped off no less than 10 years of time compared to the traditional path of slowly climbing the ladder. 10 years. Just through better planning and presentation of his value.
That's astounding. It's about refusing to just drift.
Like Dan Halpin. Took a sales job he hated.
But got inspired by Knute Rockne, the football coach. That relentless desire to win.
Yeah. So Halpin applied proper planning and persistence to his own situation. Became a vice president in just 6 months. He refused to compromise with circumstances he didn't like. He used desire and planning to force them to change.
These stories really show the power of a directed mind. But what stops most people? What's the big obstacle?
The unavoidable topic. The ghosts of fear.
This feels central because the core idea is you control your thoughts. That's your only absolute control.
And fear thoughts are just as powerful as positive thoughts, right?
Yeah.
They translate into physical reality just as quickly if you let them dominate. Your brain gets magnetized by fear just as easily as by faith.
The sources list 6 main fears, but one is called the most destructive. Which one?
The fear of poverty.
Poverty. Why is that one singled out as the worst?
Because its effects are so devastating on the mind. It paralyzes your ability to reason clearly. It destroys imagination. You can't see possibilities when you're terrified of lack. It kills self-reliance.
And it's socially crippling, too.
Hugely. The source quotes Westbrook Pegler vividly describing how poverty crushes the spirit. You can literally see it in someone's posture, their walk, their gaze. That sense of inferiority can destroy potential, even in people with great ability.
That feeling of judgment, of failure, it connects directly to the next big fear, doesn't it?
The fear of criticism, absolutely. It's everywhere.
And why is this one so fatal to achieving big things?
Because it stops you from taking risks. It kills initiative. It makes you afraid to use your imagination, afraid to be different, afraid to voice your ideas. All the things you need for major success.
And the symptoms are so common. Self-consciousness, lack of confidence.
Nervousness, trying too hard to fit in, extravagance even, spending money you don't have to keep up with the Joneses, all driven by fear of what other people think.
The sources use some funny examples historically about fashion and criticism.
Yeah, the baldness theory, suggesting men wore tight hats, cutting off circulation simply because everyone is doing it. Fear of looking different.
While women wore looser hats mainly for style and kept their hair, it shows how much we conform out of fear.
We really do. We follow habits and customs often just because we're afraid to stand out.
But the fear of criticism gets really damaging when it comes from people close to you, parents, family.
That's the tragic side. The source gives that heartbreaking anecdote about the author's childhood friend.
The one whose mother constantly told him he'd end up in prison.
You'll land in the penitentiary before you're 20. Hearing that constantly, that negative suggestion, loaded with emotion from his own mother.
And he ended up in a reformatory at 17.
It's presented as a direct result. That criticism destroyed his ambition, planted this negative expectation deep in his subconscious. It shows the irreparable harm unwarranted criticism can do.
Okay, so we have these powerful fears working against us. Poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, death. What's the weapon? What's the antidote?
There's one fundamental antidote that cuts across all fears. It's the power of decision.
Decision. How does that fight fear?
Because worry, which is the engine of fear, is caused by indecision. It's the constant what if, the circling thoughts, the lack of a clear path forward. Making a prompt, firm decision breaks that cycle.
That sounds almost too simple again. Just decide.
Think about the example they give. The man condemned to be executed.
Right. You'd expect him to be terrified.
But just hours before, he was apparently the calmest person there. Why?
He said he'd made up his mind. Accepted his fate.
Exactly. He reached a final, definite decision. No more what-ifs, no more hoping for a reprieve. And that decision brought him immediate peace, calmness, resignation. He could even eat heartily.
Because the mental turmoil of indecision was gone.
Precisely. So the practical steps for you, the listener, become clear. Fight the fear of poverty by deciding to manage your finances without worry, creating a plan. Fight the fear of criticism by deciding you don't care what others think or say, focusing only on your definite plan.
And fear of old age.
Accept it. Decide to see it as a time of wisdom and perspective, not just decline. Turn it into an asset, like Blair's deafness. It all comes back to definite decision. And this underlines the ultimate responsibility. You are the master of your fate only because you can control your thoughts. If you abdicate that control, let fear run the show. Well, you control nothing.
Okay. We've journeyed through desire, faith, knowledge, planning, persistence, mastering fear. How does it all tie together? What's the final synthesis, the master key?
The synthesis is really about developing the habit of mind control. It's not a one-time fix.
Like the examples of Ford, Woolworth, even George Washington.
Yeah, they succeeded because they consistently exercised their right to control their own thoughts. They trusted their own definite purpose, their own vision, and they actively refused to let doubt or negative suggestions from others derail them.
Ford knew he could build a V8 engine, even when engineers said it was impossible. Woolworth knew his five-and-dime store idea would work, despite everyone telling him he'd fail.
That unwavering focus, that's mind control in action.
Yeah.
And it's not magic, it's not genetics.
It's learned, a discipline.
It's the result of self-discipline and consistent habit. The habit of keeping your mind focused on a definite purpose, backed by a definite plan, and saturated with positive, expectant emotion. That's how you generate the useful service that leads to riches.
Which brings us back full circle. The master key itself, what is it, ultimately?
It's intangible, but it unlocks everything.
Yeah.
It's the privilege you have right now to create in your own mind a burning desire for a definite goal, a definite form of riches or achievement.
The privilege to choose your dominant thoughts.
That's it. And the sources are clear. There's no penalty for using this key. It's yours by right. The only penalty comes if you don't use it.
And that penalty is?
Failure. Mediocrity. Remaining subject to those ghosts of fear. allowing circumstances and other people's opinions to dictate your life.
So after this deep dive, you have the principles. You understand the ingredients. But putting it into action requires that honest look in the mirror.
Yes. Before you can effectively market yourself, your services, your ideas using QQS, you need that brutal self-inventory.
The sources give a specific question for that, don't they? A tough one.
A very tough one. You have to ask yourself, honestly, if I had been the purchaser of my own services for the past year, would I be satisfied with my purchase?
Ooh, that cuts deep. Would you rehire yourself based on your performance?
Exactly. It forces you to assess your quality, your quantity, and, crucially, that spirit of cooperation you brought to the table, honestly.
And that self-assessment really determines your starting point for applying all this, your real market value right now.
It dictates your trajectory. Are you building value or just going through the motions? This is where you need that prompt and definite decision. Reject the fear, reject the indecision.
As Emerson said, if we are related, we shall meet. Through exploring these ideas we've met, the connection is made.
The principles are on the table.
Now, the challenge for you is to make that definite decision. Define your burning desire, build your faith, make your plan, and persist. Never again submit to failure.